Today on This Week in Iowa, the governor is talking about sexual harassment in the government. Then 2 interviews with the outgoing heads of the Departments of Corrections and Public Safety. What these two have learned. And later we are looking back at 2018. What are the biggest political stories of the state? Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us here on This Week in Iowa. I'm Sabrina Ahmed. Several weeks ago, a group of lawmakers approved changes in the state's sexual harassment policy. This week, advocates held a public hearing with the department that enforces that policy, asking for a change in the way victims are treated. The big issue is whether a victim's report will remain confidential.
There doesn't seem to be a lot of consideration for the impact of the confidentiality clause in the rules on how that might impact a victim of sexual harassment. It doesn't talk about what their right is for information pertaining, and because there's a blanket confidentiality statement without any idea of how it applies to the public versus the complainant versus the person committing the harassment, it leaves a lot of questions in place for survivors potentially going through this process.
Governor Kim Reynolds was asked about whether changes should be made to this new policy. She said she wouldn't rule it out.
It's like all things that we do. You know, if there's something that we're missing, even with the changes that we've made, then we should take a look at that. So I don't think we should ever close down and say this is the absolute process that we're going to follow.
The changes come after several reports of sexual harassment by state officials in the past few years. Well, we will take a quick break, but coming up next, we're sitting down with the heads of public safety and corrections in our state. They're both stepping down from their posts at the end of the year, what they've learned from their positions.
My favorite part of the holidays is cooking with my family and staying inside in our pajamas. But it wouldn't really be the holidays without going sledding on the snowy slopes. We really love to go to the community holiday events because it gives us a sense that we really are part of a community and that we're all celebrating together.
Home Free is bringing new music, more country, and holiday favorites in a country Christmas tour featuring their Billboard hit full of even more cheer. The 5-man band is known for their show-stopping a cappella performances mixed with quick-witted humor. Along with Billboard success, Home Free has over 200 million views on YouTube and entertained more than 300,000 people live in concert. See Home Free in a country Christmas tour live at Stevens Auditorium in Ames, Sunday, December 16th.
Scott Peterson sits on death row.
You believe he did not commit this crime.
He has told so many lies, and there are no lies about murder.
Now,
The bodies were found where Scott went fishing.
He places himself at the crime scene.
his sister-in-law claims new evidence
14 witnesses saw a pregnant woman walking a dog.
could clear him.
If they're not seeing Lacey, who are they seeing?
New Dr. Phil.
Monday at 4 on Local 5.
Join us every Sunday at 10 on Local 5 for the Iowa Realty Sunday Home Show, featuring new construction neighborhoods around the metro by the best builders in the market. We chat with builders and Iowa Realty professionals about open house, trends in the industry, financing information, and existing inventory. And our special Great Iowa Home feature each week showcases a luxury home listed by Iowa Realty. Now in our 34th year at 10 a.m. Sunday on Local 5 or at iowarealty.com.
From the capital city, you're watching This Week in Iowa with Sabrina Ahmed, getting to the heart of what's happening in Iowa politics.
Welcome back, everyone. We are joined now by Jerry Bartruff and Roxanne Ryan. They are both retiring from their public service as heads of the Department of Corrections and the Department of Public Safety. Both of you, first of all, thank you for your service to our state, and thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, so Director Bartruff, you served in the Department of Corrections for decades. You started as a correctional officer.
Correct.
What did you learn in those many positions in the agency over the years?
I learned that corrections was an agency that changes. I think when I first started, there were certain expectations that when somebody came to prison, they were there as punishment. They were there to be good inmates. They were there to do some work around the facility, but very rarely did we talk about what is it that you need that helps you be successful when you are returned to the community. So very early on, it was compliance, it was confinement, and over the course of my career, I saw that change to let's create opportunities for people that are in prison to be successful because they're all going back to our communities. And if we can prevent a victim from being harmed, that's our job. So shifting from containment to reentry.
Interesting. And for the better.
For the better.
Right?
Yes, and I think we've seen much better results than we have with that approach from the past. We're actually seeing people now who are coming back to our communities who are filling jobs that employers are looking for, who are returning to their families, who are becoming law-abiding citizens and good neighbors. So that wasn't always the case. And if I may just steal a little bit of a line from Roxanne, one of the things that we talk about from her perspective, public safety is taking care of our community when a crime is occurring. Corrections gives people hope. And I think that that's our connection. So
wow.
That's the biggest shift that I've seen.
Very interesting. Commissioner Ryan, you have, you're retiring as the head of public safety. Talk to us about what biggest challenges you faced in your time with the department.
Well, probably the one that comes to mind immediately is that I attended 6 funerals for officers who were killed in the line of duty. 3 of them in traffic-related incidents, and 3 of them were targeted specifically and ambushed. And those are the kinds of incidents that cause you to really think about the impact of what our officers are doing and what risks they face on a regular basis. It's something that I think about every single day because we have so many people that are out there doing their jobs and putting their lives on the line to be able to protect everyone else. And it really brings it home when you go to those funerals and realize that sometimes they give their lives for the safety of the public.
Absolutely. There's been a shift in culture, the way people view officers, some in a good way, others in a not so positive way. What has your experience been with that?
We see both.
Yeah.
And I ride with troopers fairly often. I talk with the agents fairly often. I go out in the field often, and we hear good things. People will stop them and say thank you for your service, which we didn't used to see very often at all. But we also have a number of complaints. I'm not sure that we've really seen an increase in the complaints, but we continue to get complaints from people who are unhappy with the work that law enforcement does.
We spoke a little bit about how there's been a change in the culture in criminal justice. Do you believe that criminal justice reform is something that's needed in the state and in the country?
I think that there is a movement now and an opportunity for criminal justice reform to be considered by both sides of the aisle, if you will. I think that there is an opportunity that corrections and criminal justice haven't been looked at seriously from a are we doing what we intended to do today with what we did 10, 15 years ago? And I think there are opportunities for us to be able to look at the criminal code, to update the criminal code. We made some changes in Iowa a couple years ago where people with drug mandatory minimums that did not involve a weapon, the mandatory minimum was dropped and they were released back to the community. These were people that were very low risk and likely not to reoffend. And we tracked that group of people and they did really well. So I think we need to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money, and sometimes I think we take too many people in the correctional system. If we found a pathway for them to stay out of the criminal justice system or out of corrections, that would allow us to focus our resources on those most likely to reoffend.
And is that something that the Department of Public Safety can help with, to help with the community involvement portion to keep people out of prisons?
It certainly does. The interactions that we have with people are not just enforcement actions, and so I think we've expanded the expectations for law enforcement, that we do more than, troopers don't just write tickets. They also talk about prevention, and they also talk about other safety concerns that people have in the communities. And our agents are going out and talking to parents about cybersecurity with their children, and really broadening the kinds of things that we focus on so that we're not just focused on containment and punishment. We're actually thinking about what makes for a better society.
Absolutely. Okay, let's continue this discussion after this short break, so stick with us, everyone. We'll be right back.
If you're injured in a serious accident, the insurance company is not your friend. Don't accept a short-sighted offer. Get all the money you deserve.
My favorite part of the holidays is cooking with my family and staying inside in our pajamas. But it wouldn't really be the holidays without going sledding on the snowy slopes. We really love to go to the community holiday events because it gives us a sense that we really are part of a community and that we're all celebrating together.
This station seeks groups that regularly send information about work opportunities to job applicants or that have applicants to refer. If your group would like to receive notification of job vacancies at our station, contact us by U.S. mail, email, or by calling 457-9645. Individuals interested in employment in the broadcast industry are encouraged to visit weareiowa.com for a list of current job openings. Nexstar Broadcasting Companies are an equal opportunity employer.
Alexa, give me my Local 5 news headlines.
I'm Local 5's Sabrina Ahmed with today's top stories.
Set up your flash briefings by adding the We Are Iowa skills to your Alexa app.
You'll hear Local 5's top news stories updated 4 times a day.
And plan your day with We Are Iowa's most accurate weather team, as I tell you if you need this or these.
Go to weareiowa.com/Alexa for easy setup instructions.
Alexa, tell me We Are Iowa's most accurate forecast.
I'm Local 5 meteorologist Taylor Canuse.
On our We Are Iowa app, we have the greatest interactive radar. Not only do you see the radar now, but you also have the interactive part where you can look at future radar.
You can't catch our newscast if you're out and about. You can be the meteorologist, so to speak. You can zoom in on the map and let yourself know when that storm's going to arrive.
Honestly, I'm not just saying this because it's ours, but it's the best radar I've ever seen.
We are Iowa and it's everything to me.
You're watching This Week in Iowa, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Iowa.
Welcome back, everyone. We are continuing our conversation with Roxanne Ryan and Jerry Bartruff, who are both leaving their posts that they've had at the Department of Safety and Department of Corrections. We've spoken a little bit about some of the challenges you faced in your career. Now, I'd like to hear from both of you about why decide to leave your posts. There has been, as Governor Reynolds has since been reelected, there has been a change in leadership in some areas, and they understand that that probably is just the beginning. Is that part of this?
To me, it was a 36-plus year career in corrections. It was a time for me to acknowledge that that career was important and meaningful. It was also a time for me to acknowledge that there's another phase and another part of my life that I want to experience. So it isn't without some regrets, but it's part of a career that I think has run its course, and it's time to do something else and turn it over to other folks.
Roxanne?
And much like Jerry, it's been 38 years for me, 36 in state government. And I'm part of that sandwich generation where I have aging parents and young grandchildren. And the job that I've had for the last 4 years is absolutely a 24/7 kind of job.
Yeah.
And I really would like to have some opportunities to spend with those family members that I have frankly ignored for the last 4 years.
Why do you think it's important for Iowans to understand what both of your agencies do? Because many people, most people, won't have anything to do with either of your agencies. Maybe they'll get a traffic ticket, but...
I think it's really important for people to understand what we do, because the good things that happen in our community can't happen if our communities aren't safe. So I think it's important for us to be able to, even if it's behind the scenes, to be there to intervene before people get hurt, if people are hurt and they're sent to prison, that they're better when they come back. I think the good things that happen in Iowa can't happen unless our communities are safe. And that's what I think both of us share in common.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of times people have no idea what goes into making communities safe. There are a lot of things that we do that are not highly visible, but they make a big difference. And even when crime happens, being able to respond appropriately and to show that people in the government care about what happens to people in our communities makes them feel safer as well. And in Iowa, we really have been very fortunate. We've always had one of the lowest crime rates in the country, and we have a really good, strong sense of community in Iowa, which makes it much more likely that people will be safe. But when bad things happen, they need to have confidence that public safety and corrections are going to be there to be able to respond appropriately.
what I'd like to hear from each of you about your #1 piece of advice for the person who will take your job.
You want to go first while I think about it?
Sleep now. It's really, I think you have to be very, very flexible and very optimistic in all of the things that you do. Most of the things that you're going to be encountering as Commissioner of Public Safety are difficult situations, and a lot of trauma involved in the cases that we encounter. We have to be able to care for each other and to be able to tell other people that we care about what happens to them, and be able to handle the kind of trauma that arises on a daily basis for us that most Iowans don't have to experience on that kind of regular basis.
And I think for me, and Roxanne expressed that very eloquently, because in corrections there are difficult times, and officers experience difficult interventions with folks and have to protect themselves, but also interact appropriately. I think one of the things that I've been very cognizant of since I've been director is that I'm not going to be doing this forever. And so I've tried to engage the people in my leadership positions as much as possible in the work that I do, so that when that opportunity for them to step up, they're prepared, they know what some of the landmines are, they know what some of the good things are that could happen, and so it makes it easier for me to walk away knowing that there's people who have walked with me for a while that can just pick it up and keep going.
Commissioner Ryan, I do have one question for you that's not exactly related to your retirement, but it's about a project you've been working on while in your position, and that is about the interoperable communication system. It's supposed to be fully operational at the end of this month. What is it? How will it impact Iowans? And again, this is something they probably won't even know exists, but is very important.
It is absolutely essential to the safety of so many people in the state. So we're one of the last states to actually develop this interoperable communications system. And we have been able to build the system in about 18 months when we were expecting it to take about 5 years. So we've made tremendous progress. It allows all of the law enforcement agencies, well, in fact, all of the public safety agencies to be able to talk to each other. The coverage that we have for radios is much, much better than anything that we've seen before. This is the state-of-the-art technology. And if there are disasters, we have all kinds of ways for backup to be able to continue to communicate during those emergencies. So, for example, during the tornado in Marshalltown, we were able to bring a mobile command center because many of those things had been destroyed that were necessary for communication. We were able to continue that communication for 3 or 4 days until they could rebuild to be able to talk to each other.
It's hard to imagine that doesn't exist already.
It's something we wish we could have had 11 years ago when we started building this system. After 9/11, there was a big move to make sure that we were developing the most current technology. And many states have already built these kinds of systems, and the success stories are just wonderful in all of those other states.
Most memorable moments, very quickly, we don't have much time left, but of each of your times, do you have a favorite memory that you'll take with you?
I think one of the ones that, can I have two?
Yeah.
I think
you don't have much time.
One of the ones is when we opened up the new Iowa State Penitentiary. And public safety, law enforcement, Illinois people worked together, and we moved over 600 people within 6 hours to watch that happen. Secondly, it's when I go to GED graduations and I see a young man who didn't pass his GED, who walks across the stage with a big smile on his face and looks out at his mom and says, "I did it."
Pretty powerful. Yeah. And for you?
Going back to the interop, we did a first call event at the State Fair last summer in which the governor was able to call the National Guard, a school, fire department, police agencies across the state to be able to show that we are going to be able to talk to each other absolutely everywhere and really improve the safety within the state and, as it turns out, across state lines as well.
Fantastic. Thank you, both of you, for everything you've done for the state. I mean, we've got like almost 80 years of experience between the two of you on this couch. Thank you very much for visiting with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take a short break, everyone, and we'll be right back.
You always dress like me. Why is that?
No.
At U.S. Cellular, the holidays mean great deals, like the latest phones for free.
Free? Wow.
I'm gonna get one for myself. I'm no dumb.
No what? Janet? No dummy? Where's my phone?
Janet, little Janet, with this deal, you can both get one.
Hear that, Janet? I have my own life.
Well, then go live it.
This holiday, get the latest phones for free, only at U.S. Cellular.
No matter what you do, you're always raising the bar. Delaro fungicide for corn and soybeans can help you get the edge you're looking for. Delaro has a broader spectrum of disease control and best-in-class dual mode of action residual. Plus, it improves plant health, so your top-performing hybrids and varieties will have the protection they need to help you achieve your personal best yields. Delaro fungicide from Bayer. Keep raising the bar.
5-time Grammy winner, 30 million albums sold, kicks off an epic holiday event.
I love it so much.
With her favorite holiday picks.
Work it. Smells just like Christmas.
And best of all,
guess what? You guys are all going home with all of these things.
Plus, Todd loves his holiday traditions, but hates this.
It's for people who have money who want to try to act like they're bougie.
And designer Jeremiah Brent brings one family a little piece of home.
Monday morning at 9.
On Local 5.
This station strives to provide quality children's television programming and endeavors to meet the children's television requirements set by the FCC and the Children's Television Act of 1990. We prepare a quarterly children's television report describing each program we broadcast. We invite the public to read this report during regular business hours and comment on the educational and informational needs of children in our community. Thank you.
You're watching This Week in Iowa, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Iowa.
Welcome back, everyone. 2018 was a very interesting year in Iowa politics. Iowans elected their very first female governor. They were able to receive medical marijuana for the first time, and they said goodbye to a political giant, Governor Robert D. Ray. Today, we want to highlight the 5 biggest stories that rocked our state's political world this year. The biggest headline, Iowans electing female leadership to represent their values and make the big decisions. For the first time in our state's history, we are sending 2 women to the U.S. House of Representatives, as well as we chose Kim Reynolds to serve as the first elected female governor. She will begin her first full term as the chief of executive this January. December 1st of 2018 was the first day eligible Iowans could legally buy medical marijuana and use it in our state. 5 dispensaries opened across Iowa. They dispensed medical marijuana in various forms to Iowans to treat chronic pain and other conditions as well. This summer, Iowans said goodbye to an icon in Iowa politics. Governor Robert D. Ray passed away at the age of 89. Hundreds stood out in the July heat to see his motorcade go past places in Des Moines that influenced his life.
He always told us who were young working around him that you take care of the policy, do the right thing, and the politics will take care of itself.
That's right, and the politics did take care of itself. Ray served in a lot of roles in Iowa government, including welcoming refugees from other nations when no one else in the world would. In 2018, Iowans saw headline after headline come out about misconduct by those in state government. Republican State Representative Chip Baltimore was cited for drunk driving. We were the first station to interview him after the incident. Baltimore is now leaving his position at the State House. Then a video surfaced of Republican Majority Leader Bill Dix seen kissing a female lobbyist, not his wife, in a Des Moines bar. Dix resigned his seat from his seat the next day after the news broke. And then a few weeks later, David Jamison, head of the Iowa Finance Authority, was fired by the governor. A report later found several incidents of sexual harassment while on the job. And in May, Democratic candidate for governor, Senator Nate Bolton, dropped out of the gubernatorial race after 2 women went public with allegations of sexual misconduct he committed before he was in political office. Meanwhile, women's reproductive rights were at the center of the most divisive debate at the State House in 2018.
It is time for the Supreme Court to weigh in on the issue of life. It has taken decades for the science to catch up to what many have believed all along, that she's a baby.
Placing restrictions on abortion only forces desperate women to find a way around those restrictions.
Ultimately, Republicans won the debate, and Governor Kim Reynolds signed into law that most restrictive ban on abortions, the fetal heartbeat law, one of the most restrictive in the country. Ever since then, the law has been tied up in the courts. In 2019, we will follow a lot of those stories still, and we'll see a lot of new faces in our state government, including a new state auditor and more women in the Iowa State House. We'll still have Republican leadership in both chambers of the State House and at the governor's mansion, but in Congress, we will have 3 men and 3 women representing our state in Washington, D.C. We will take one more quick break. You're watching This Week in Iowa.
Everyone's favorite holiday classic comes to life in the all-new touring production, A Charlie Brown Christmas Live on Stage. Join Charlie Brown, Snoopy, Lucy, Linus, and the whole Peanuts gang as they put on a Christmas play and learn the true meaning of the season. A Charlie Brown Christmas Live on Stage is a present the whole family can enjoy.
On our We Are Iowa app, we have the interactive radar. Not only do you see the radar now, but you also have the interactive part where you can look at future radar.
You can't catch our newscast if you're out and about. You can be the meteorologist, so to speak. You can zoom in on the map and let yourself know when that storm's going to arrive.
Honestly, I'm not just saying this because it's ours, but it's the best radar I've ever seen.
We are Iowa and it's everything to me.
Congratulations to the Local 5 political team, awarded a regional Emmy for program Medicine in the Making. And congratulations to Local 5's Elias Johnson, awarded a regional Emmy for his work as a video journalist. To view these and other local stories you won't see anywhere else, go to weareiowa.com.
Scott Peterson sits on death row.
You believe he did not commit this crime?
He has told so many lies, and there are no lies about murder.
Now,
the bodies were found where Scott went fishing.
He places himself at the crime scene.
His sister-in-law claims new evidence.
14 witnesses saw a pregnant woman walking a dog.
Could clear him.
If they're not seeing Lacey, who are they seeing?
New Dr. Phil.
Monday at 4 on Local 5.
This Week in Iowa will be off for the next 2 weeks. We would like to thank all of you for your faithful viewership this year, and a big thank you to all of our guests who have come on to speak with us as we will continue to bring you in-depth political analysis next year. But for now, happy holidays, happy New Year, and we will see all of you in 2019.